Hey, I wanted to do a quick video for you guys to let you know and explain some of the changes that are going to be taking place this year during Intersect. There'll be two main changes, two significant changes to what we're doing. The first being one that we already discussed last year. We met at Coach's Huddle and we talked about this, and we all were on the same page that we felt like we needed to go to meeting on-site every week because some of our students were just confused, I think, as to when we were on site, when we were off site, and that was one of the changes that we all knew was coming, was to meet on site every week. So beginning August 16th, we're going to be on site every week, with the exception of holidays and break times and things like that. And we'll let you know on those things. The other major change that we're going to make is how we, when we meet, and how we structure our small groups. Now, since I've been here, since we've been doing small groups here, we've incorporated small group time with youth group time. This year, what I want to do is separate small group time from youth group time. And the reason that I want to do this is I believe that we're going to maximize the time that we have with our students in our small groups. I think we'll be able to reach more students who aren't ready to be in a small group yet. We'll be able to reach more of those students, and we'll be able to maximize the time that we have with the students who are committed to our small groups. Let me just run through real quick and show you how, once we go to this system, once we switch to this, how it's going to look. From 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Now, let me refer to this as well. We're sending out also a PDF file of what I'm going through here. It's a 3-page document, and you can kind of follow along with some of these things here. And so on the first page, you'll see that it says, what is this going to look like? So from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, our small groups are going to meet. Okay, they're going to meet at the church. You will have a room in the church scheduled for your group, so that you can decide if you want to meet in there. You will have a room on Sunday night from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock to meet with your small group. From 6 to 7:30 is going to be youth group time. Okay, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock is your small groups. From 6 to 7:30 is your youth group time. Now, small groups are only going to be kids that have committed to being in a small group. At the beginning of the year, the first four weeks of small group, we're going to be telling kids, you need to get involved in a small group. This is a great thing. This is the best way to follow Jesus. We feel like this is how you're going to be able to grow. And we're going to give them our expectations and what it means to be a part of a small group. We're going to give them information on that and tell them what that's all about. Okay? Once they've committed to being in a small group, the 13th of September is when we're going to kick all this new format off. Okay, so the 13th of September, if a student has committed to being in a small group, he or she will meet from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock with their small group. And then after that's over, 6 o'clock to 7:30 is youth group time. Again, refer back to this sheet. Youth group time is going to look like this, okay? It'll be a large group activity, maybe a game or a certain fun activity that we do all together as a big group. We'll go into the lesson. I'll do the lesson, teach whatever, and then we'll move into what we're going to call medium groups. Okay, medium groups are going to be kind of what we did last year when we would get with our grade according to gender. Okay, but this year with our medium groups, it's going to be, I might put, let's say, sophomore boys are all going to get together. Okay, and youth coach X leads that group. When it's time for medium groups, I'll put a group of sophomore boys, maybe with a group of sophomore girls, and have them go and discuss the questions over the lesson that I'll hand out that night. Or one week we might decide, you know, it's a really good idea for our senior guys to get with our sophomore boys and our junior guys to get with our freshman boys. Or have our senior girls get with our freshman girls and our junior girls get with our sophomore girls. We'll basically always combine those groups to make up a medium group. So you'll have your large group activity, you'll have a medium group interaction group time, and then if a student is committed to it, if they've signed the commitment form and they're interested in being in a small group, we will put them in a small group, which again meets at the beginning of all that time. Okay, now with your small groups, okay, like I said, we want you to meet from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock on Sunday. The best part about this is if that doesn't work for you, if you get in a small group and you guys decide Thursday night from 7 to 8 is the best time for all of us to meet. None of my kids are in sports, or they always have that night off, or whatever it may be. then you can decide, let's meet on that night. You can communicate with all of your students, this is when we're going to meet. This is when we're going to have our small group time. And you don't have to show up until 6 o'clock for youth group time, because you guys have already met on Thursday night from 7 to 8. Does that make sense? Okay. Or if you decide, hey, you know what, Saturday afternoon, there's a football game on. We're going to watch the football game, and after the football game, we're going to do our discussion. Now, the small group kids and the adults will get a copy of our book that we're going through, the character study through the Old Testament. Everybody else that just comes to youth group time will not get one of those books. But our lesson and our topics will all be based off of that lesson. The same lesson that the students were going through during their small group, we're going to talk about that as a large group and then talk about it in the medium groups. And so our small group kids, the kids have committed to going deeper and to following Christ by being in a small group. They will have probably some deeper insight, and hopefully we'll be able to help lead some of those groups and to be leaders in those groups and be an example for some of the other students. Now again, one of the reasons why I wanted to go to this is I sat down with one of our youth coaches and just felt like this is going to help us maximize the time that we have with the students who aren't ready to be in small groups, and it's going to help us maximize the time that we have with the students who are ready and to go deep in the groups, because we've all been in groups where kids are ready, they're hungry to be in a small group. And there's a few kids in there that are just like, you know, I'm not really sure about this, and it can make for a really awkward group. And so neither kid is really getting fed. Or there's kids who aren't ready to be in a small group, and we're in a small group and it's really clicking well, and these kids, we're asking personal questions and very intimate questions, and these kids are like, whoa, no way, I'm not coming back to this. Or, yeah, there's no way I'm ever going to invite my friends to one of these things because they stick you in a small group and they're going to ask you real personal questions, okay? I feel like it will maximize the time that we can have with our kids in a small group, and I think we'll reach more kids who aren't ready to be in that group yet. Now, our goal in doing this is that we want to push our students. We want to push them to be involved in a small group. We want to challenge them to sign that commitment to be involved in a small group. But the fact is, not every kid is going to be ready for that. Not every kid is going to be ready to be in a small group, and I don't want a student in a small group who's not committed to it. Because with the accountability and the intimacy that comes in a small group, if there's somebody in there that's not on board with that, it can bring the whole group down. And it can really put a wrench in the gears of what's going on in that small group. And so I think it's really a good thing.